I just checked my bank account. I was just making some calls on market. I checked my bank account. I'm like, oh my God, I jump out of my seat. It worked. It worked. It worked. I'm jumping. I'm excited.
Yeah.
And, I can't even explain like the happiness and everything. Like this truly works. And all those people that are like, don't you want a backup option? Don't you like, are you sure like this is going to work 100%? Like, no, there's a one way. Like you have to take a one-way ticket and go all in.
But truly a zero down deal on market. No marketing costs, not even earnest money, totally zero down, making $5,000. Pretty cool. So Reda, nice to meet you. I'm excited to do this interview. You have such an amazing story with your first deal, and excited to kind of walk through this with you. You sent in a big write-up on how you put the deal together, all the obstacles you ran into, how you overcame them. And first, I just want everybody to know, Reda, how old are you?
I'm 18 at the moment.
18. And you were 17 when you did your first deal, right?
I was 18, but I got started cold calling and getting into the business at 17.
Nice. That is fantastic. I mean, guys, can you believe that? 18 years old, really amazing. Good for you. While your buddies are out partying and having fun, you're figuring out how to run a business.
Yeah.
Why are you so driven? What's got you motivated to figure this out?
I don't know. At a young age, it kind of just hit me like I'm responsible for everything in my life. And, I have to be the one to kind of change. Like I come more from a poor background too. So I have to be the one to change my family's life and my life for the future. So I want to kind of just get into that right away and not waste any time.
Yeah, it's kind of cool. It sounds like urgency of, there's no one handing you anything, making life easy for you. So that's giving you the motivation to go create your own life. So tell us a little bit about that journey. What was it like learning about wholesaling? At what point did you start to take action to pick up the phone and make offers?
So I started scrolling on TikTok and came across Kong, if you know who he is.
Yeah.
And, let's go get this money, so I so wholesaling real estate, you sell this contract, you can make $10,000, $15,000. So I'm like, okay, that kind of caught my interest. And I started watching the videos at around 16 years old. And then I'm just like, this is what I want to do with my life. This is what I truly want. And then, just kept watching videos. I was always too scared to, take action. I would make a phone call. Like I made like a phone call like once or something like that. I'm like, hello, like stuttering, not knowing what to say. And, just hanging up right away, just kind of like the call and hang up. But then, one time I was in high school, geography class, I believe. And I'm just watching the teacher speak and I'm just like, it all hit me. I'm like, this is just a waste of time. Like, I don't like, this is not going to help me in my life. And then I'm in the back of the classroom, start pulling up your videos or cold calling videos, start watching that. And I'm just like, so the hour after that, I didn't have an hour. So it was a free hour. So I'm like, you know what? I'm going to go make my first call, like my actual like serious call. I'm going to start digging into the business now. No wasting time. So then I went, made my first call, obviously stuttering, hanging up the phone right away. But then I remember, having my first call and I was actually talking to the seller and finally, or agent, and I kind of finished the whole call. I was like, I did it. I did it. I talked to him. I did it. I was so excited. And my confidence just spiked up like crazy. And then, just kind of started taking action from there. Once, started getting into the consistency of calling and stuff. So, yeah.
That's really funny. My son, so my son is 17 and he's been getting on the phones, and every time he gets stuck, he just hangs up the phone. It's hilarious. Yeah, he's like, I'm like, why did you just hang up? He's like, I didn't know how to answer their questions. So I'm like, so you just hung up? But you know what? You keep doing it, and then pretty soon you don't need to hang up because you can carry the conversation and you can get through the call, and that's exciting. So it sounds very similar to what you did.
Oh yeah.
Okay, so you're in high school, literally in school on a free period, making calls at 16, 17 years old. Okay. And so you're doing this for a while. At what point did you start making calls until the first deal came along?
Until the first deal came along, it was about 7 months, but it wasn't consistent calling, and I was still kind of getting into the business. So then this summer, last summer, actually, I should say, I started really just, diving on market. And like you said, get your first deal in 30 days, make 5 calls every single day, and you're going to get that deal. The universe is going to align and you're going to get that deal. Yeah. So then I really just started focusing on market. in Indianapolis, just calling. And here's the thing too, when you're making I was making 3 to 5 calls every single day. When you're making all those calls and making those offers, you forget about the properties you make offers on.
Yeah.
So for this deal, actually, I completely forgot about it. And the buyer's agent that worked with me called me up and said, "Hey, Reda, the original contract fell through with the first buyer, and they're leaning more towards yours because we were a backup offer at first." Because I'm like, "Hey, I have to be at this number. I cannot go any more up." And they're like, "They're considering your offer, but they want to be at 113 with covering back taxes and closing costs." And I'm like, "Nope, I got to be at 110." He's like, "All right, man, I'll make it happen for you." Like, all right.
And you went into that deal double dipping, but the agent did not want to represent both parties, right?
No.
Yeah. So let's talk about that. So, I teach this double dip strategy. If you guys follow me, you're very familiar with that because it's where you go directly to the listing agent, let the listing agent present and write the offer for you. Therefore, they get the other half of the commission and they're very motivated. Well, some agents either can't. Depending on the state you're in, you're not allowed to do it. It's called dual agency. We call it double dip, but it's really called dual agency. Either the state doesn't allow it, maybe the broker doesn't allow it, or maybe the agent just doesn't feel comfortable representing both sides and they don't want to do it. In any of those situations, what you can do is designated agency where the agent will let somebody else in their office represent you on the offer. And this, but they're getting a referral by doing that. So they're still getting extra compensation by working with you. And that's the point. We're trying to incentivize the listing agent to want to work with you. And it worked. In this case, that listing agent was very motivated to get you the deal. You were a backup offer. They went to bat to get you down at your 110 number that you wanted to be at. And so by doing that designated agency, it allowed you still to have that competitive advantage on the deal. So love that. I love that because not always are you going to get the agent to double dip. Sometimes they're not going to want to. And it doesn't mean it doesn't work now. It just means you have to think about it a little more creatively. So most agents, what they'll do is they'll say, "I'm not comfortable, but hey, work with so-and-so in my office and they can take care of you." In other words, I'm going to refer them and get half of the buyer's commission. So probably they got 4.5% total instead of 6% if they double dipped or 3% if they were on their own. Make sense?
Yeah.
Okay. So that's really awesome. And so then they got it for you at the 110 as a backup, right?
Correct.
Yeah. And I love what you said where you really got to look at this business like it's just reps, putting in the reps. Like if you just do it, I love that you took my challenge. My challenge is 5 offers a day, 30 days a month. That's or 25 a week, 5 a day. That's about 100 a month or so. And I believe I've seen it tested again and again over years and years. If you actually are consistent and do that every day, you will get a deal. It's just a matter of timing, and the stars will align, and you will get a good deal. And you're a great example of that. So you get the contract at 110. Now what happens? So now you're going to find your buyer. What was that experience like?
So from the past contract I locked up that was overpriced, I actually built a relationship with someone off Facebook, one of my good buddies, Tanner. And he said he was going to dispo the deal for me. So I sent it over to him and, started working with him on this deal. We got it, for a good price. So we got a lot of action on it. And then we ran into like a lot of headaches. Of course.
Yeah.
But yeah, so I was actually at my day job at Target, and he found someone. He's like, "Hey, this person's interested. We're just talking, negotiating." He went to go walk the property when I was at work, and I'm just kind of going back and forth on the phone at work. I'm like, "Okay, hold up, let me use the bathroom real quick." Back and forth on the phone, and the thing is here, we had to like kind of renegotiate because closing was a little too early, and the buyer had to get his lender to kind of extend the closing, so that he can get all the amount on time. So we kind of ran into that, like, "Hey, I got to go back to the buyer's agent, renegotiate." Like,
how'd they handle that?
The buyer's agent worked really good with me. He was fine with that. He's like, "Yeah, we can push it back like 3 days." He really knew what he was doing. So, it really helps when you have an agent that knows what they're doing and they're really, that you have a good relationship with them and they're helping you a lot.
Yeah.
But yeah, so then we ran into the issue where it was around 7 p.m. So it was a little later, and the buyer at first didn't know that he had to cover back taxes on the home. So then he had to get the exact amount, how much taxes were owed, so he can send it to his lender. And we're like, shoot, like we need to get this now. He's like, we need to get this like tonight, or else I can't make this deal work because it's not going to work with my lender. So we're hustling. I'm going back and forth to the bathroom. I'm like, I don't care if I lose this job. I got to make this deal work. So we're going back and forth. I'm on the phone with my JV partner, on the phone with the agent. Agent's like, okay, I'm with my kids. When I'm done, I'll get you the forms and everything like that and how much taxes are owed. And since he didn't know that at first, the buyer was going to buy it at 117, but then with the taxes, it was around like, I believe like 3,000 around there with closing costs.
And back taxes that were owed.
Yeah, correct. Okay. So, we got less of an assignment fee, but that was fine. We still wanted the deal to work, but we were able to get it down to 115. So yeah, it was like $2,000 off. But yeah, so then
let me make sure. So Reda, he didn't want. So originally it was 118, but then he had $3,000 in back taxes that he didn't know he had to pay. So then what he did is he just adjusted the price down to 115 and then paid him.
Yeah, around there. Yeah, so just deducted our assignment fee.
Gotcha. Yeah. So essentially, you ended up having to pay the $3,000 in taxes.
Essentially, in a way, with the assignment fee, yeah.
Out of your assignment fee, yeah. Okay.
But still glad, we made the deal work. And it turns out that the buyer was actually an agent himself, so he was able to pull up the records of how much taxes were owed on the home. So then we got that number from there, and then it was smooth, and we made it work.
Wow! Right at the last minute, and then were you able to close on time that day?
Yeah. So actually, with the closing company. With the title company, actually, and you mentioned this a lot. Make sure you choose a friendly, like a wholesaler friendly title company, because with this one we had like a lot of hiccups. Like the day before closing, they wanted a mechanics from the lender. Yep, mechanics lien from like the lender or whatever, and they wanted like all this extra info and all this, and it was going to push back our closing like a week, and we didn't want the deal like not to work. So then, we just had a backup title company, in our pocket in case we have to back out like right away. Go to that other title company.
So when you do on market, that's a little tricky because a lot of agents want to control title and they want to use their title company, and they'll push really hard to use their title. Usually they have a relationship. Usually they get a discount on closing fees, or they get a referral. Some title companies pay agents referral fees. And so you have to be really adamant about using your title, or double check that the title company the agent wants to use is actually wholesaler friendly. So sometimes an agent will push really hard with their title. I'll call the title company and just say, hey, how comfortable are you with assignments? How often do you do them? Do you understand how they work? And see if I can feel comfortable with them before agreeing. And then if they're like, what's an assignment? I'm like, oh crap, this is going to be a nightmare, because they don't know what they are. They don't know how to do them. And then I'll tell the agent, look, if we're going to do this deal, we have to use my title. And I just stick to that, really firm, because like you said, the wrong title company can kill the whole deal and it won't close. They literally can kill the deal.
Oh,
so it's really important. So you worked through that. One thing to clarify here is normally the back taxes would be paid by the seller because it's the seller's expense that they owe taxes, unless you agree with that seller and you agree in your contract up front that you'll pay those fees. So it sounds like you agreed to pay those fees. It's just that your cash buyer didn't understand that. He either didn't realize that he was agreeing to that, or he should have known, because it was in his, if he did the assignment, then he agreed to whatever was in your contract, and your contract stated that you were going to pay those fees, correct?
Correct.
Yeah. So it sounds like he was a newer investor, probably an oversight, didn't catch it, didn't realize it till the last minute.
Yeah.
So,
and the funny thing is actually too, when we actually did the assignment, the agent that was working with the escrow company freaked out and told the listing agent like, "Hey, they're selling the contract," and that freaked out the seller too.
Yeah.
And everything was just like, oh, and then the buyer's agent called me back. He's like, like what's going on and stuff. And I'm like, yeah, we're doing an assignment, and there's nothing wrong. And like the deal was about to get canceled from that. And I told the buyer's agent like, either this deal is not going to work, or you're going to waste time on the market if you don't go with us. Like, we're literally just assigning the contract. We're still performing on our contract. The earnest money is submitted, everything like that. Like, we're going to close on this deal. There's no worries. Yeah. And we kind of ran into that issue because
title can do that. Yep. Title can advise seller, I don't know what these guys are doing. I wouldn't agree to this. And then that just kills your deal. Yep, totally.
Yeah.
Now, I love how you handled earnest money. You followed a strategy that I teach. Explain how you did that, because one of the biggest concerns I get from new investors is I don't have the money to pay the earnest money. Now, earnest money, remember, guys, it's a good faith deposit. You pay at the time of executing the contract. It sits in escrow at title and then gets applied towards the purchase, which means if you wholesale, it gets reimbursed to you. But there's still that 3-week or 4-week window where you have to pay that earnest money and then it sits there until you get it back. So you float it for a minute. But what if you don't have the $1,000 or whatever it is? Explain, Reda, the strategy that I teach that you followed and it worked.
Earnest money shall be due after the inspection.
Boom. Just like that, guys. Earnest money due after inspection. And then how many day inspection did you have?
We had a 7-day.
Okay. So 7, I try to get a 10-day sometimes, but if you get an inspection contingency in your contract, then you can say earnest money to be paid at the end of inspection. Now, the seller or agent may not agree to that, but if they do, then you just buy yourself about 7 days, in your case, 7 days, to then come up with the earnest money. So how did you come up with the earnest money?
The buyer took care of that for us.
Bingo. So you guys catch that? Then he finds his cash buyer in his 7-day window. Then the cash buyer pays the earnest money, which you want them to pay earnest money anyway, and then apply it towards the first contract. And there you go. Reda just, he's working at Target as a brand new, investor, barely out of high school, and he's doing a deal, not letting any excuses stop him. I love this because, Reda, so many people are like, I don't have money, I don't have time, I don't have experience, I don't this. And you're like doing it and just working at Target and figuring it out and no money and did it. I love that. So thank you for being an example and leading the way and not taking no for an answer. Like, I'm sure people have told you, no, you can't do stuff your whole life, just like everybody. And you're just not listening to the noise and you're going out there and making things happen.
Yeah.
Just so exciting. I mean, I can't wait to see what you do with your life, because if you can figure this out, there's nothing stopping you from doing it again and again and again, and really springboarding into an amazing career in real estate and, a financial freedom and control over your life.
Yeah, 100%. Yeah, that's my goal too.
How much was the earnest money?
$1,500.
Okay, so $1,500. That very typical, anywhere from $500 on the low side, $1,000, $1,500. But on a 110 contract, $1,000, $1,500 is really normal. And this is Indianapolis, right?
Correct.
Yeah. So very common there or anywhere to be paying that type of earnest money. So plan on it, right? Like, that's normal, guys. How many hours or how many weeks at Target would that take to make $5,000? And probably, I don't know. Do you know?
I mean, I worked there for like a year and I don't even think I made that amount of money, honestly. I don't even know.
Yeah. Yeah. Isn't that cool? So what was it like? I'd love for you to try to explain the emotion as an 18-year-old to make that kind of money. What was that like for you?
So yeah, I'm just kind of checking my bank. I just checked my bank account. I was just making some calls on market. I checked my bank account. I'm like, oh my God, I jump out of my seat. It worked. It worked. I'm jumping. I'm excited.
Yeah.
And, I can't even explain like the happiness and everything. Like, this truly works. And all those people that are like, don't you want a backup option? Don't you like like, are you sure like this is going to work 100%? Like, no, there's a one way. Like, you have to take a one-way ticket and go all in. And that's the way I look at it. So,
and are you doing real estate all in now?
oh, yep.
Yeah.
Off market full time in Jacksonville. So we're going all out.
Okay. So what would be one piece of advice that you'd give a listener who's working on their first deal?
Just be consistent. You're going to have those days where like, am I making progress? Like, this isn't working. You have to be consistent. Those days come and everyone faces them, but that deal is going to come if you're consistent. And like I said, if you're doing on market and you're doing 5 calls a day, you're going to get that deal. You just have to stay consistent and build relationships with agents and really just have that mindset. Like, like no matter what, I'm going to go all in and I'm going to get this deal. Like no matter what.
Nice.
So yeah, just commit fully 100% and you got it easy.
Love that. That's great. Well, guys, leave a comment and say, Reda, you are a flipping genius. Congratulations on your deal, on all your success. Thank you for being, an avid subscriber and watching my content, my videos, and taking action. It's all about the action, guys. So really cool. But truly a zero down deal on market. No marketing costs, not even earnest money, totally zero down, making $5 grand. Pretty cool.